Hi everybody! Welcome to another rereading chapter, and today we're gonna talk about Arya. This is the first Arya POV chapter. It's very exciting. Here we see her with the other girls at the beginning, not liking to do girl stuff or the womanly arts. And she meets Jon. She prefers to do boy stuff. She's close with Jon. And today we have another guest, Daniel Klut, an education guy and a very big A Song of Ice and Fire fan. Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Gil. I'm very excited to be here.
Of course you're excited, of course.
Thank you for having me.
I accept your thank you. I'm very happy to have you. And please tell me, Daniel, what was the very first thing that drew your attention as you were rereading this chapter?
After rereading this chapter, what struck me the most is the similarity in the structure between this chapter and the first Jon chapter.
What do you mean?
They both start in a very generic, very stereotypical gender environment.
So Arya is with the girls, right?
Yes.
Doing needlework?
Yes, doing needlework, whispering and giggling about boys. And Jon is sitting with the young lads, drinking alcohol,
Right.
speaking about war.
It's very macho.
Also, they're both envious in their same-sex older siblings.
Right.
Yes.
Arya about Sansa and Jon about Robb.
Correct. And then some authority figure come to them, Benjen and Septa Mordane, and shame them. And both shame them in gender-oriented way. Benjen is telling Jon that he's not a man, he's a boy.
He's a virgin, basically.
He's a virgin, yes. Septa Mordane, we know that, so when she tell her she's bad at sewing,
Right.
it's also a gender-oriented shaming.
Right, you're bad at being a woman.
They're both crying, running away from the room. And outside, they both meet some other outsider. Jon meets Tyrion, and Arya meets Jon, and create some kind of outsider bond, some kind of outsider brotherhood, maybe you can call it. And also, you can say it's very similar structure, running away from somewhere and then meeting someone. The big difference is that while Arya is suffering for this environment, Jon is enjoying his stereotypic manly environment, feeling that he's a man, that he have a man first, really having a good time until Benjen come and demasculate him.
Thank you, Ben. So for me, the first thing that caught my eye was the fierce rivalry between Arya and Sansa. The first sentence is about how Arya's stitches are crooked. And then the first thing that she does is just look over at Sansa to see how she's doing, and her stitches are exquisite.
They're real and they're spectacular.
Everyone said so, while Arya has the hands of a blacksmith. Ouch, that's gonna hurt. And it seems like Arya defines herself as what Sansa is not, as opposed to Sansa and not just by herself.
Completely, yes, all the time.
Okay, so let's start. Let's dig deeper a little bit in the relationship Arya and Sansa. It's all about contrast, right, between Arya and Sansa. What one is, the other isn't.
They're like complete opposites.
Right. So Sansa, she's beautiful, she's happy, she's graceful. Everything she does prettily. She knows how to say things and when to say them. I was actually surprised she's like a born politician. She lies very deftly to the Septa, and then her friend says something that she thinks should not have been said. So she scolds her, but then also gently strokes her hair to take the harshness out of her words. And Arya, she's gloomy, she's impulsive, she's restless. She feels the world isn't fair, so it's not a beautiful world, right? Sansa has everything and kind of took everything away from her before even she was born. It says like by the time Arya had been born, maybe there had been nothing left. That's a really harsh outlook at life. And the only thing that Arya is better at than Sansa is horseback riding, and she has a horse face, so that reminds her that she's not beautiful like her sister.
So Sansa and Arya, they are complete opposites, and it's very gender related. Martin could just paint her in pink and done with it. So Sansa is a very stereotypical girly girl. She likes all the girl stuff.
Right.
She's good at all the girl stuff.
Right.
She's even bad in math.
And Arya?
On the other hand, Arya is completely tomboy. She doesn't like anything about her gender roles.
Right, she prefers to be outside. She doesn't like to do the needlework and all that. She has
Nothing. Usually, when a person doesn't feel fit with his gender,
his or her,
there will be few things that he will like. Like,
for example, you.
I like. I didn't say I'm not feel comfortable with my gender, but I don't like all the men attributes or the men gender roles. I do like fixing scenes. I do like martial arts.
I find that very threatening to my masculinity. No, I like sports. Maybe that's it.
That I don't like at all.
Don't like, yes,
at all.
I win.
Arya doesn't like anything at all. Not singing, not dancing, not.
What I found so striking here is how it's so easy to dislike Sansa. She's like perfect. She's the queen bee. Everyone is around her. Jane Poole and all that. And Arya, she's the outsider. She's not part of the clique. She doesn't belong. So we immediately identify with her most. Of course, it's her POV. And then when the Septa says, Arya, and criticizes her work, I was like, boom, I'm in the Arya camp now.
This is actually the first time we meet Sansa, the first time we examine her character, and we see it from Arya's eyes. From Arya's point of view, Sansa is this mean girl, manipulative, evil, and it's very easy to take her point of view. But in second reading, I found that you can see that Arya's judgment in most cases is not so fair, is not so objective.
Really?
When Septa Mordane is coming to examine Arya's work, she's thinking, oh, this is just like Sansa to draw her attention, so I will be screwed. But actually it was Arya that drew her attention when she speaks loudly.
And then even Sansa tried to defend her. She said, no, we're speaking about the Princess Myrcella who's there, so she's doing the sisterly thing maybe.
When Septa Mordane scolded her,
Arya,
yes, she's thinking that Sansa is happy about it, that she won't smile because she's too polite.
She's so evil that that she doesn't want to show how evil she is. That's how evil Sansa is.
Exactly. And actually we don't know if it's true. We don't have any clue that this is really how Sansa is feeling in this moment.
Also, to your point, Sansa actually asked Arya her opinion about Joffrey. And Arya knew that Sansa likes Joffrey, so Sansa says, what did you think of Prince Joff, sister? He's very gallant, don't you think? So she wants affirmation from her sister, but Arya just responds, Jon says he looks like a girl. So that's not nice. So Arya is seeing Sansa being mean all over the place, but this is actually the only part that she was being actually objectively mean. And it was like a retort.
Yes.
Self-defense. Yeah. Okay, so what happens then? And she leaves and she meets Jon. And she sits with Jon and they're watching the princes and all the lordlings fight. And we see that Robb and Joffrey, they hate each other. Robb is 14. Joffrey is only 12. They had a one-on-one fight that we missed before Arya got there. And I think that's very George R.R. Martin, like, not give us this payoff. The Starks and the Lannisters fighting at such an early stage of the story.
Yeah, so we will not see them fight anytime. This is not the issue. It's not about the climax. It's not about these two alpha male fighting. Also, like Khal Drogo, this legendary warrior, he's not died in an epic fight.
Right.
He died for
infection, right.
Yeah, he died for infection.
Yeah, right. So he's telling us the important thing here is the tension, you can say, between the future king and his future warden of the north hating each other. That's not good for the realm. That's very, very, very dangerous. Someone has to lose if they're fighting. And we get the sense that Robb kind of won, kind of beat Joffrey. So Joffrey, first of all, he's not like the wuss that he is in the show.
Not at all.
Right, he's 12, so it makes sense that Robb would be better at sword fighting. Robb wants to fight again, but then Joffrey, he whizzes out of it in a way. So, I only want to fight with real swords.
Joffrey is able to keep his dignity, but Robb is better in sword fight than Joffrey. So Joffrey, he makes a dick move. He knows that Roderick will not accept them fighting in real sword, and he said, no, I only want to fight with real sword. I'm above it.
Right, only if we can kill each other. I found the dynamic between Jon and Arya sweet. There was this part that Jon has all his 14-year-old wisdom That's funny. It's a very good way to look at how a 9-year-old would look at a 14-year-old. Like, whoa, you've been through so much.
So I think that Arya and Jon's dynamics in this chapter are very important. So you can see Jon in the last chapter, in his conversation with Tyrion. Tyrion was some kind of teacher for him, gave him his first lesson. And he taught him 2 things that Jon will imply in this conversation.
Okay. Well,
the first one, he told him to reclaim his bastard, to wear it like an armor. And Jon imply it when he tell Arya that he's a bastard while smiling. So Jon imply it. So he start to be a bit nonchalant about it.
More comfortable.
He's practicing this attitude.
Okay, the second thing.
So Tyrion told him this wonderful sentence. He told him, all dwarves are bastards in their father's eyes.
How did he apply it here?
So the meaning of this sentence is telling him, I know, how do you feel as a bastard?
By using Jon's own experience, he's telling him, you feel like a bastard, so you can know how other people feel kind of bastards in their own way. You're not the only bastard out there.
Exactly. Even if they're not bastard, they have in some kind of other issue that you can understand because of your pain of being a bastard. So here Jon applies this attitude about being a girl, about being a woman, when he speaks with Arya.
Right.
So he starts this chapter in a very machoistic point of view. Okay, we know he mocked Joffrey for looking like a girl.
Right.
And he was critical about Joffrey wearing his mother symbol.
Right, sigil.
Sigil.
Right, but Arya tells him, no, the woman is also important.
And he's listening, and then he said, girls get the arms, but not the swords. Bastards get the swords, but not the arms.
And what does that tell you?
So he's doing the same kind of comparison that Tyrion said. He said, so being a woman is, in a way, it's like being a bastard.
Right. Also, it shows that Arya has some quote-unquote feminist instincts, right? She names her direwolf after a female heroine, and that caused a big ruckus in the castle. And Sansa, by contrast, she called her direwolf lady. That's what people expected also of Arya. And also when she says the woman is important too regarding Cersei, that shows that in some ways society is not working for women as a whole and not just her. Also, I found you were talking about the similarity between Arya and Jon. Also, there are similarities between them when you look at their relationships with their respective direwolves.
But it's important to see that she's not into gender freedom. She's pro-masculinity. We can see it that earlier she was shaming Joffrey for looking like a girl.
Right, you're a girl.
Yes, so
that's weird.
Boys should be like boys. Boys are awesome, and girls are sucks.
Right, so she has internalized the oppression.
In a way.
Something about Jon, it's very clear the contrast when Robb and Joffrey are yelling at each other, and you see all their emotions on their faces. But Jon, he's good at hiding his emotions. His face has grown as still as the pool at the heart of the Godswood. He's a good politician, and also because it says as the pool at the heart of the Godswood, that's very northerny of him. So the north is like ingrained in him. So that's intersectionality with you. It's all the same struggle. The bastards, the women, the dwarves, they should all band together and change society. Come on, go for it. We are the 99%. Actually, they're the 1%. But also, Jon and Arya, they look alike. All the other brothers, brothers and sisters, they look like the Tullys, and they're the only ones that look like Starks. So that made Arya think at first that she was a bastard, and it says that the first person she ran to with that concern was Jon. That's very insensitive. And Jon had reassured her. Oh man, that's sad. No, don't worry. You're not this awful thing that I am.
Wow.
Okay, so let's get a little bit political here. So Jon, he can't join the fun, right? The fighting. He wants to, but bastards are not allowed to damage young princes. Any bruises they take in practice must come from true-born swords. That's satire right there for me. So at first we saw how the girls are being educated with their needlework, and then we see how the boys are being educated with their swords. So those are very different education systems. Arya, she can't say anything. She can't say anything without the Septa giving her some trouble over it. And when she wants to leave the room, she tells her, and the princess is there, she says, Arya, you will shame us all. Come on, that's such an over-exaggeration. And on the other hand, Rob's curses ring through the yard. What did you think of that? You're an education guy. What did you think of that?
Yeah, so they have actually gender-separated two education systems. When they're both learning their gender roles, the girls have to have lots of self-control that the boys don't have to, but the boys have to fight.
Right, they can get hurt.
Yes,
physically.
Yes. You have to fight if you like it or if you don't.
Right.
You have to compete.
Right.
You have to fight.
And then you might lose.
You might lose.
And you might be embarrassed.
Yes.
And you might get hurt. So it's not fun being a man even though you're on top of the pyramid. That's what you're saying.
This is George Martin's perspective. Some people like Rob can enjoy it and someone like Sam will hate it. While Sansa will enjoy her feminine education system. While someone like Arya or Brienne will suffer from it.
Right. So we have to be a little bit more flexible, right? And Theon is also there, and we see that he's wearing his house sigil and still has a look of contempt. He's such a douche. And the Hound is there. That's the first time we see the Hound, right? So he's trying to bully Rob, saying, I killed my first man when I was 12, and he's calling him boy. That was kind of sad. I felt like the Hound needed someone like Sarah Silverman to reach to him a little bit. Get him, I don't know, to unpack that hate and that rage.
That could be wonderful. This is the first time we actually see, as you said, we see Sandor.
So you call him Sander, not the Hound. You wanna get closer to him.
I usually call him Sandor. Yes, it's one of my favorite characters.
Okay, what did you like him doing here?
It was very interesting. First of all, you can start to see that he doesn't like Joffrey because Joffrey is trying to get away from the fight by suggesting the real sword.
Right.
Fighting with real swords.
Right, which is not going to happen.
But Sandor really tried to make it happen.
He's such a good friend.
Yeah, he tried. He's actually, in a way, he's been very aggressive to Roderick, try to make him accept the offer. And Joffrey doesn't want it at all.
Right, so he's as if he's protecting his master, he's basically trying to screw him over.
When he said that he killed the man when he was 12 years old.
Right.
So I was asking myself, who did he kill? He didn't grow up in the street, he grew up in a castle. So I read about, and George Martin said that in some Q&A, that when Sandor was 12 years old, he was part of the sack of King's Landing with Tywin, with his brother.
Ooh, who did he kill there? Probably some poor schmo.
Maybe. I think there is a story there that yet to be told.
Poor Sander. Okay, so we're getting near the end. Let's get through some writing that we either liked or disliked. Arya did not care to be found. That would be, I'm guessing, a little bit indicative of her character. She's saying about Sansa when she's not smiling. You mentioned that earlier. Sansa was too well bred to smile at her sister's disgrace. Too well bred. That's like a horse or a dog. I liked also the way that Martin describes old Sir Roderick Cassel, the Master at Arms, a great stout keg of a man with magnificent white whiskers. That's so colorful. One thing that I did not like, when Jon and Arya are sitting together, Martin writes, they had always been close. Come on, George, come on. Show us, don't tell us. Okay, let's go to the best moment in the chapter. In your eyes, what was the best moment? Your favorite moment?
Yeah, I think for many people reading this chapter, they will think the moment that Arya flew from the room, telling the Septa Mordane that he need to go to shoe a horse.
Yeah, that was funny. The
Septa was shocked.
Right, like showing it to the man. Come on, like she's being really smart, being really funny and witty. Yeah, I like that too. Okay.
But me, after being a teacher, I have much less empathy for the young rebel girl that flew in from the room thinking that...
Right. Okay, so you have something else in mind? Maybe
Yeah.
also like from an educational point of view.
I really like the moment that Arya noticed that Myrcella's stitches are crooked too, and still the Septa is...
Right, she's raccooning over her. Oh, this is great, this is beautiful.
So actually Arya is noticing some kind of hypocrisy in her education. Yeah, it's a very gentle way to show that early on Arya sees all kinds of flaws in her education, in the values that taught to her.
Right.
That we know later she will cast away all the Stark values, everything she been taught.
Right, honor, everything.
And from an education point of view, I think this is very important to know. And I can say it from my experience that your student will notice any bit of hypocrisy that you will apply.
So you think that the Starks are doing a disservice to themselves by being hypocrites in their education system?
Completely.
Okay. My favorite moment of the chapter, that's very short. It's a line by Jon. He pokes fun at her for not liking needles. When the spring thaw comes, they will find your body with a needle still locked tight between your frozen fingers. Ooh.
It can be foreshadowing
Ooh,
to the end.
Maybe.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, maybe. So I hope you had fun listening and watching. I hope you had fun doing the video. Right, that was fun.
Thank you for having me.
That was our pleasure. Show Daniel some love, and we'll see you all next time in the next reread chapter. Bye.
Bye.